Have you ever caught yourself thinking, if only I had known this decades ago? You know that feeling when a truth suddenly hits you with such clarity that it almost takes your breath away? Well, as we approach our 80s, there are certain realizations that tend to emerge, sometimes painfully, but ultimately lead to the most profound sense of freedom you've ever experienced. Today, I'm sharing the 5 hard-hitting truths that many 80-year-olds wish they'd embraced much earlier in life. And trust me, truth number 4 is the one most people resist the longest, but it's also the one that brings the greatest sense of peace once you finally accept it. What I love about these particular insights is that you don't have to wait until 80 to benefit from them. Whether you're approaching 60, already in your 70s, or well into your 80s, these truths can transform your experience of aging from one of resistance to one of profound liberation. So let's dive right in. Item 1, your time is finite, and that's what makes it precious. You know, it's strange how something we've always known intellectually, that our time is limited, suddenly becomes viscerally real around 80. It's not just a concept anymore. It's a feeling in your bones. The problem is that many of us spend decades operating as if we have all the time in the world. We postpone joy, we tolerate energy-draining relationships, we put off expressing our deepest truths. Then suddenly at 80, the finite nature of time isn't just a philosophical idea, it's a daily reality. I think of my dear friend Eleanor, who told me that when she turned 79, she had a sudden realization while looking at her calendar. She said, if I'm lucky enough to live to 90, I only have about 500 more Sunday mornings to enjoy. That's it. That simple calculation changed everything for her. She immediately canceled 3 regular commitments that she'd been maintaining out of obligation rather than joy. So what can we do with this truth? First, start practicing what I call conscious time allocation. Before agreeing to anything, ask yourself, if I only had 500 more weeks to live, would I spend one of them on this? Second, create a no longer willing to list things you're officially retiring from at this stage of life. And third,
schedule joy deliberately. Put things bring you in.
Pleasure on your calendar first, not last. The beautiful paradox here is that embracing the finite nature of time doesn't make life depressing. It makes each day more precious and each choice more meaningful. If you're finding these reflections valuable, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our weekly wisdom videos. Our community of thoughtful older adults is growing every day, and I'd love for you to be part of our conversations about living with purpose in this remarkable stage of life. Now let's move on to the second truth that hits hard at 80. Item 2, most regrets are about things you didn't do, not things you did. Have you noticed how our fears change as we age? In our younger years, we're often terrified of making mistakes or embarrassing ourselves. But as we approach 80, a different fear emerges. The fear of having missed opportunities that will never come again. When researchers interview people in their 80s and 90s about their regrets, they rarely mention actions they took that turned out badly. Instead, they consistently speak of chances not taken, feelings not expressed, joys not pursued. I wish I had appears far more frequently than I wish I hadn't. This was powerfully illustrated to me by my 86-year-old uncle, who spent decades working a secure job he disliked, because it seemed like the responsible thing to do. When I asked him recently what he would do differently if he could live his life again, he didn't hesitate. I would have quit that job at 40 when I had the chance to join my friend's boat-building business. It might have failed, but at least I would know. This wondering has haunted me for decades. So how do we apply this wisdom? First, adopt what I call the future regret test. When facing a choice, ask yourself which option might leave you wondering, what if? Years later. Second, start keeping a curiosity list, ideas, activities, or experiences you're drawn to but haven't explored yet. And third, schedule one small risk each month, something that pushes you slightly beyond your comfort zone. Remember, at 80, you won't regret the dance you danced poorly, but you very well might regret the dance you never dared to try. Now I'm curious, is there something you've been hesitating to do that you suspect you might regret not trying? I'd love to hear about it in the comments below. Sometimes just naming that thing out loud is the first step toward actually doing it. Next, let's talk about a truth That's particularly challenging but incredibly liberating once embraced. Item 3, letting go is a skill, not a loss. You know what's fascinating? In our younger years, life seems to be all about accumulating knowledge, possessions, relationships, achievements. But around 80, we discover that the most essential skill for peace isn't acquiring more, but rather knowing what to release. Many of us struggle with letting go because we equate it with loss. We hold on to grudges because releasing them feels like saying the hurt didn't matter. We cling to possessions because parting with them seems like erasing memories. We maintain exhausting relationships because ending them feels like failure. I witnessed this transformation in my neighbor Ruth, who spent her 70s fiercely maintaining a large family. Home filled with 50-plus years of belongings, despite the physical toll it was taking on her. At 82, a health scare forced her to move to a smaller place. 6 months later, she told me with genuine surprise, "I feel like I've been let out of prison." All those things I was desperately preserving were actually preventing me from living now. What can we do to develop this skill? First, practice what I call intentional release. Regularly identify one thing, physical, emotional, or mental, that you can consciously let go of. Second, reframe your understanding of simplicity. It's not about having less, but about creating space for what matters most now. And third, when considering whether to hold on to something, ask not, might I need this someday, but rather, is this serving my life today? The freedom that comes from mastering the art of letting go isn't about emptiness. It's about making room for the present moment and whatever new growth might still be possible. I'd love to hear from you. What's something you've let go of that unexpectedly brought you freedom or peace? Share your experience in the comments. Now let's move to our fourth truth, the one most people resist the longest. Item 4, not everyone will like or understand your choices, and that's okay. This one hits particularly hard for many of us who've spent decades trying to maintain harmony by accommodating others' expectations. Around 80, the stark realization often emerges. Despite our best efforts, there will always be people who misunderstand our intentions, disagree with our choices, or simply don't appreciate who we truly are. The exhausting part of not accepting this truth is how much energy we waste trying to explain ourselves, justify our decisions, or adjust our authentic preferences to avoid disapproval. Even more painful is realizing how many meaningful experiences we might have missed because we feared judgment. I think of my friend Walter, who at 83 decided to sell his suburban home and move into a vibrant downtown apartment, a choice. His adult children, initially criticized as irresponsible and risky. For 2 months, I tried everything to get their approval, he told me. Then one morning, I woke up and thought I might only have a few good years left. Why am I spending them trying to convince others about how I should live them? He made the move anyway. And though some family tension remained, the joy his new lifestyle brought him was undeniable. So how do we embrace this truth? First, practice what I call the approval inventory. Identify where you're still making choices based on others' expectations rather than your own wisdom. Second, develop a simple, non-defensive response to criticism like, I understand you see it differently and that's okay. And third, surround yourself with at least a few people who celebrate your authentic choices, even when they don't match conventional expectations. The liberation that comes with this truth is profound. Energy previously spent seeking universal approval becomes available for genuine connection with those who truly see and appreciate you. If these insights resonate with you, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our weekly conversations about navigating life's later chapters with wisdom and authenticity. Our community members often tell me these discussions help them feel both understood and inspired. Now let's explore our fifth and final truth. Item 5. Your worth was never in your productivity or usefulness. Perhaps the most challenging but ultimately liberating truth that emerges around 80 is this. Your inherent value as a human being has absolutely nothing to do with what you produce, achieve, or contribute. In a culture obsessed with productivity and usefulness, many of us internalize the belief that our worth comes from what we do. Then, as physical capabilities change and traditional roles fade, a crisis often emerges. If I'm not doing or giving or producing, what value do I have? The painful part of this is watching people exhaust themselves trying to maintain outdated, measures of productivity, or apologizing for needing help, or feeling they must justify their existence through constant busyness. I was deeply moved by my conversation with 89-year-old Grace, who spent decades as a highly regarded pediatric nurse. After a stroke left her needing significant assistance, she confessed through tears. "I've spent my whole life being the helper. I don't know how to be the one who needs help." The turning point came when her great-granddaughter climbed onto her lap and simply sat in silence, holding her hand. She wasn't there because I could do anything for her, Grace realized. She just wanted to be with me. How do we embrace this profound truth? First, practice receiving with grace. Accept help, gifts, and care without feeling you must immediately reciprocate. Second, notice when you're justifying your existence through doing, and experiment with simply being present instead. And third, regularly ask yourself, how would I treat myself today if I truly believed my worth was inherent and unchangeable? The freedom in this truth is revolutionary. When you no longer need to earn your place in the world, your presence becomes a gift both to yourself and to others. I wonder, have you struggled with this shift from a productivity-based identity to recognizing your inherent worth? What's helped you navigate this transition? I'd love to hear your experiences in the comments below. Conclusion. So there we have them, the 5 hard-hitting truths that often emerge. Around 80, your time is finite, and that's what makes it precious. Most regrets are about things you didn't do, not things you did. Letting go is a skill, not a loss. Not everyone will like or understand your choices, and that's okay. And your worth was never in your productivity or usefulness. These truths may hit hard at first, challenging our long-held beliefs and comfortable illusions. But there's a reason I call them liberating. Each one, once truly embraced, removes a heavy burden you may have been carrying for decades, without even realizing it. The beautiful thing is that you don't need to wait until 80 for these realizations to transform your life. By embracing them now, you give yourself the gift of living more authentically and peacefully, regardless of the number of years ahead. I'd love to know which of these 5 truths resonated most deeply with you, or perhaps which one you find most challenging to accept. Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your reflection might be exactly what another viewer needs to hear today. And if you found value in today's discussion, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss next week's video on the 3 relationships that matter most after 70. Because understanding these truths changes how we connect with others in profound ways. Until next time, remember, it's never too late to embrace the truths that set you free.